Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And before I start the video, I found out this morning that I have 50 subscribers as of now. So pretty excited that I got 50 subscribers on the channel. Pretty happy to get that. I don't know if you call it a milestone. To me, it's a little bit of a milestone, I think, getting to 50. I think most usually count milestones when they get to 100 maybe, but been doing this for over a year, I think now. So getting to 50 is a fairly good number for me. I felt like a long time I was never getting out of the 20s. So to get to 50 is pretty nice to have. I found out this morning, funny enough, from getting a message from Adam Carpenter from What the Gym YouTube channel. I woke up this morning and he messaged me, congratulations on 50 subscribers. And I was like, what? I got 50. And I looked and I was like, oh, I got 50 subscribers. So I was on 48, I think, the day before. So it must have just came today. I must have added 2 more subscribers, which is nice to get to that 50. It's nice to get to those round numbers like that, like 50, you know, and obviously 100 would be like the next big one. Always really fun to get to those. I remember starting the channel and I think my dad and my older sister were the first 2 to subscribe. And I think for a while there, I think I got to 5, and I think Rich was one of the first ones to subscribe to the channel, Rich Strickler. And then I got to maybe 5, and then I thought, you know, who knows, maybe 5 is the most I'll get on the channel, and you know, whatever, I'll do this for the 5 people. It's something I like to do for fun anyways, talk about movies and music. So as far as I knew, maybe 5 was my limit. Whatever, you know, and so it slowly had went up, you know, and I just remember like a couple months ago, I was on 32 for a long time, 32 subscribers for months and months, and I thought I'm never getting past 32 was probably my max on that, but luckily last, I want to say 2 months maybe, I think I got to be able to get on some live streams with Rich Strickler, and he shouted my channel out. And I made some friends with some new people on the VC, and so that helped, I think, maybe get my numbers up a little bit more, which is, you know, really, really nice. I really thank you to everybody that subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate that you guys listening to my opinion on these things I enjoy to talk about. And yeah, and of course, I always thank you at the end of my videos, but I want to thank you right now. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and getting me to 50. I really appreciate everybody that watches and likes and all that. Anyways, and thank you to Adam for letting me know that I got to 50. Anyway, so yeah, so I got 50 subscribers. Let's get to the video that I'm making today. Glenn Calloway from the Basement did a video this last week. He called it like 10, it's popular to do like 10 desert island picks, you know, which is if you only could bring 10 items to a desert island, you know, what are the 10 items, you know, there's a lot of lists like that. Glenn Calloway did one, he put a little twist on it, made it a little more challenging, coming up with the top 10 list of things to bring. And his list was, you can bring 10 albums, you're on a desert island, I guess somehow there's electricity and you can play your vinyl, your record player, and you can play vinyl on it for some reason. Maybe there's a never-ending power source, and so you can listen. You have 10 out. You can only have 10 albums. So these are 10 albums you can listen to on the desert island for how long you're stranded on this island, I guess. And the rules is that you have to. His rules was that you have to pick one record from 7 different decades, starting with the 60s all the way to the 2020s, basically. So you have to pick one album per decade. And then you get 3 bonus albums of any decade you want to fill out your top 10 or your 10 records. Anyways, and he did it because he wanted, I think, other people to kind of do this thread, as he said, making lists. Anyways, and I like making lists, so it was fun to try to come up with these 10. I'm changing my what I'm doing a little bit from Glenn Calloway, in that I'm going to add the 50s to my list. So I'm going to pick from 8 different decades, from 1950s to the 2020s. One album per decade, and then I'm going to pick 2 albums from any decade after that. And I kind of just went, I didn't do anything really exciting except I just went through what is my favorite album per decade, and I take out my 8, and then I just picked the 2 albums that were left that I haven't mentioned an artist from. So I have 10 different artists basically in my 10 albums. I didn't want to pick all. If it was, I'd pick like all Beatle albums if I could, to bring with me to the island. But I just only picked like one Beatle album. So I tried to pick 2 albums left that were my favorite that I haven't mentioned the artists yet. Anyway, so this is my 10 Desert Island albums. First, I'm doing the 1950s, and I'm picking the Chirping Crickets from Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Came out in 1957. Definitely, Buddy Holly is probably my favorite artist from the 50s era. I do love a lot of his songs. One of the great 50s rock singers and songwriters, and really influential to about everybody afterwards. And the Chirping Crickets, I think, is a really good 50s rock album. Some of my favorite songs on there is Oh Boy, Not Fade Away, Maybe Baby, and That'll Be the Day. It was a big hit on there. All excellent songs. Number 2, from the 1960s, I picked Revolver by the Beatles. It came out in 1966. I had to pick this, my favorite Beatles album, Revolver, and favorite album of all time, to be honest. And Beatles is my favorite band of all time. So I couldn't. A lot of people are picking the White Album because White Album has 30 songs on it. So they figure if I'm picking a double album, I get twice the Beatles songs. And Revolver and White Album's a great great album. Not a bad choice to take on the island. But I had to go with my favorite, which was Revolver. And all the songs are so great. I was just to pick out some of my favorites: Eleanor Rigby, Here, There, and Everywhere, And Your Bird Can Sing, and Tomorrow Never Knows. Great rock album with some great also pop songs and ballads. So that's number 2, or that's the 60s. 3, from the 1970s. Favorite album is Band on the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings, or however you want to call it. Huge Paul McCartney fan. It's my favorite Paul McCartney album. Favorite album of the 70s. Just a really excellent Paul McCartney at the peak, I think, post Beatles. As of course, title song, Band on the Run, great song. Jet, really nice rock and pop number. 1985, great piano, great harmony song. And then Let Me Roll, another really good, pretty good rock song off the album. But yeah, excellent album, Band on the Run, number 3 from 1970s. Fourth one is from 1980s. And I should say, the first 3 probably people won't disagree too much. 80s, I have to admit, a lot of my albums are more towards the soft rock pop albums, and I know I'll get made fun of, or I'll be looked down upon by some of these albums, but I have to be true to myself. These are my favorite albums, and so let the making fun begin with this one. Number 4, my favorite album of the 80s is Can't Slow Down by Lionel Richie. Recently, I mentioned on a different channel that I really love this album, and I really like Lionel Richie. And I won't mention names, but I'll just say there was a Canadian that made fun of me for liking Lionel Richie. And I was a little surprised, 'cause I didn't know people get made fun of for liking Lionel Richie. I thought he was somewhat popular, and it was kind of known that he was good. So I was like taken aback, like, oh wow, I can't like Lionel Richie. Like, I was like, okay, I'm sorry, but I do like Lionel Richie. Great singer, I think. Really smooth vocals, great love song songwriter, I think. And this is a great album full of good love songs. You got All Night Long, Stuck on You, and probably my favorite of his, Hello. Really good song from 1980s. 5, from 1990s, pick a rock album here that maybe I don't hear anybody else talk about really. It's maybe not as well thought of, but I find it to be a really excellent rock album. That's Third Eye Blind by the band Third Eye Blind. Came out in 1997. What's the Story, Morning Glory from Oasis was probably a close second. It's really hard because I've always loved that album, but when I come down to it, this album is really, really good, and I can't say much, or I can't say enough how much I really like this album as a rock album, and probably the hardest rock album I have on my list to be honest. Third Eye Blind, I don't know if it's a well-known band. Of course, I remember them coming out in 1997 when I was in junior high, and they had a hit song off of this album called Semi-Charmed Life, which was on the radio a lot. It was a huge hit, and it was that song I heard that I was like, I really like that song, so I bought the album back when I was in junior high, and loved the album back then. I don't have it anymore. I'm gonna have to rebuy it at some point. But I was listening to it on Spotify. I was like, wow, this is even better than I remember it. A lot of really catchy rock songs, really hard guitar, hard bass. Lead singer's got a unique, I think, style to him that I really enjoy. But there's some great songs, like I said, Semi-Charmed Life, Jumper, Graduate, How It's Going to Be, all songs that were on the radio quite a bit. So definitely, maybe an underrated album, but definitely check that album out, Third Eye Blind. Number 6 for the 2000s, I have Room for Squares by John Mayer. It came out in 2001. Again, I was like a junior or senior in high school when this came out. And is John Mayer's first album, introduction to John Mayer. Love John Mayer, one of my favorite artists out there. Great vocals, great lyricist. I love his acoustic guitar playing. He also plays a mean electric too, but on this album, it's all acoustic guitar playing. I do love a good, say mixture of like pop and folk music, kind of, I call it. I think people call it indie folk maybe, or something like that. And it definitely got a pop sound to it. A lot of catchy tunes that sound really great. Some of his big songs off of here, No Such Thing, probably the biggest one maybe, or Your Body's a Wonderland was huge off of this album. Why Georgia and My Stupid Mouth, were also pretty well-known songs off here that are great, but every song on here is really good. It's one of my favorite records, Room for Squares by John Mayer. Okay, now again, in the 2000s, I'd definitely be made fun of this, but I can't apologize. I love this album, and it's 25 by Adele. Came out in 2015. I do love Adele. She's my favorite female vocalist. Amazing range and tone. She has this amazing tone when she's just singing very soft. She can sing soft and low and just sound so amazing, so much kind of underneath power there. And then also in the chorus, a lot of times she'll hit you with this. She'll get louder and higher. She's more of I'd say an alto singer. She's not really a high soprano singer like maybe Celine Dion, but man, when she hits you with those power notes, it just sends you chills, and you just go, oh my God, this is really good music, I guess, in my opinion. I just love hearing her sing. Her big hit, and this was a big album, won a bunch of Grammys and everything, and had a huge hit, Hello, one of my favorite songs and my favorite of hers. But Send My Love to Your New Lover, and When We Were Young was also a really, really excellent song off of here. So, Let the Hate Begin. I'm sorry, but I do like this album from Adele, 25. Now we get to 2020. It's a little bit harder because there haven't been too many albums coming out. 2022, we're like in the third year of the 20s, I guess. And so I do have one album, though, I've listened to recently that I really like. And here's another artist who gets a lot of hate, I think. And the album's called Equal from Ed Sheeran. Came out in 2021, just this last year. Last album. Huge Ed Sheeran fan, too. Kind of like John Mayer. I love vocals and his lyrics, and I love his acoustic guitar playing. I love good rock songs. I love a good rock riff or rock solo, all those things I love, but I do probably bigger fan of more acoustic artists, like I said, John Mayer, Ed Sheeran, John Denver, Jim Croce. I do kind of go towards those artists. I do love Damien Rice, another one, Glenn Hansard, some of his stuff. I do love a good Bob Dylan, of course. I do love a good just acoustic guitar and just a really good vocal and good lyricist. Like, I love those kind of musicians, and Ed Sheeran's one of my favorite out of there. Really good songs off here. I don't know. I don't listen to the radio, so I don't know what are big radio songs. He has a song in there called First Times, one of my favorite Ed Sheeran songs that I've listened to. But Tides and Shivers are other songs on here, and I haven't listened to the album enough to really talk a lot about it, but a couple times I've listened to this album. I think is one of his best. All right, so then that's from the 8 decades. So now I got 2 bonus albums. Best albums I've got so far that I haven't mentioned the artists. And so number 9, I had to put Crosby, Stills and Nash by Crosby, Stills, Nash. It came out in 1969, their first album coming together. One the first like real super group where you got 3 members from other bands that are, you know, Hall of Fame bands, and they formed this perfect trio with some good backing bass and, you know, drums, and they come up with the best harmonies ever. I mean, I love the songs, and this album is so good. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. I love their harmonies, and this album especially, like, there's 6 songs on here, I would say, that are like on Crosby, Stills, Nash's like greatest hits. Like, this is almost like a greatest hits album. Even the songs aren't hits are still really good, but definitely there's like 6 songs where I'm like, this is like the 6 of their best songs they've ever done, which is crazy. It's first album. One of my favorite songs of all time, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, opens the album. One of the best songs ever. I mean, the way that changes the tone or the melodies change, and it's almost like 3 songs in one. Just brilliant songwriting and music arranging. Helplessly Hoping, another one of my favorite songs from Crosby, Stills, Nash. Just amazing harmonies throughout. And also Wooden Ships is a really, really good song off here, just to name a few. And then the last album on my list is Poems, Prayers, and Promises from John Denver. Came out in 1971. Like I said, I'm a big fan of folk singers and pop folk, country folk, whatever, where guy and acoustic guitar and great vocals and lyrics. I mean, I love those kind of artists, and John Denver is definitely up there as one of my favorite artists to listen to. And Poems, Prayers, and Promises is my favorite album of his. It has my 2 favorite John Denver songs on it. That's why I love it so much. Sunshine on My Shoulders and Poems, Prayers, and Promises are my 2 favorites. It's hard to say which one's my favorite. I kind of go back and forth between the 2 because they're so good. I said, just love listening to the lyrics, and he's got a good laid backness to him that he just makes you feel good when you listen to him. Another big hit off of here is Take Me Home, Country Roads. Of course, it's probably the most well-known song on here. Really great song to sing to. Anyway, so I had to put this John Denver album on my 10, Poems, Prayers, and Promises. So that's my 10 albums on my desert island. Obviously, so many great albums I hated. I couldn't get into a Simon Garfunkel album, or couldn't get a Who album or Led Zeppelin on there. You know, I definitely thought about putting those on there, but couldn't quite make the list. And that's when you do 10 albums, you know, really good albums aren't going to make it. But a lot of those albums make other people's lists. Didn't quite make mine. Mine is more soft rock, I think, not as much on the hard rock as some other. But like I said, I can't apologize. That's what I like, and can't help that. So, but yeah, so thank you for watching the video. Thank you for liking it. You know, hope others are doing videos like this. Glenn Calloway started this 10 album Desert Island thing. Fun to see what people would put on their desert island. You know, I just love to see other people's comments on that or videos. And just, again, thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I can't do without you. Appreciate it. Have a good day.